FUTV live from the Caribbean. Welcome along, everybody. Today we're talking to Jim Ratcliffe's 5 new rules for any manager taking over Manchester United next season. Branthwaite news and a massive injury concern that's been picked up on by Jason Wilcox, and that not an investigation, but the audit and just what he's been doing at Manchester United since his appointment at the football club. Please give the video a like, guys. Get into the live chat. It's early here, but obviously there's plenty to talk about, so we're going to get into it. And obviously subscribe as well if you are new to the channel. I'm Adam. This is Forever United TV. Get subscribed so you can get involved in the live chat, because that's where we're going to be going today, because I want to go through all 5 of these so-called new rules. We're going to break down each one, go into it, whether we think that's going to work. Is this what Manchester United need? Whether you think this report is real from Neil Custis in The Sun or not, it's a good debate to have, because Manchester United haven't been doing any of it. So is this the way that a new structure and a proper structure, because you could say a lot of other Premier League clubs have also been doing this, we're just massively behind. It looks great, and this new age of how Manchester United are going to be run is fantastic, but the reality is we're just miles behind everyone else. So is this the way forward for Manchester United? We're going to discuss all 5 of these. I'm going to start with number 1, that being age limit on players. So according to the report, Manchester United are not going to be signing any player above the age of 25. Now, I've got a little bit of a problem with this. I don't think that you can. I don't think that. I say the experience of that player is enough, I don't feel. I think you do need some of the more older players in the squad. And obviously, in time, as the structure's gone on, you're going to have these players that have been bought under the age of 25 mature into the right type of players. And obviously, you could say that that's how Ineos want to work. That's how they want the structure to go ahead. They want these players to mature into these more experienced players that are going to teach then the new players that are coming through into Manchester United along the line. But I do believe that 27, a player like that, I haven't got a problem signing a 27-year-old. If you sign a good 27-year-old, like a proper player that you know he's going to strengthen your team, he's going to make you better, then really I don't think that's too much of a problem. 27, 4 or 5 year contract into 31, 32, you've got the best out of him. I understand that there's no sell-on factor with 27, so he gets to that age when the contract's finishing, into his late 20s, early 30s, and then you're looking at the situation we've got now with the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro, Varane, Harry Maguire, these types of players. Well, we can see clearly now that we're not going to be able to get a lot of money for him. So are Ineos looking at the business side of Manchester United as well as the football side? Now, they've been all about the football side of things. We don't want to make money. So straight away, rule number 1 is a little bit of a contradiction, because there is obviously an angle there on sell-on value as well. That would probably be the main thing for me. Obviously, you've got the young age player, less chance of injuries, you would have thought, especially muscle injuries. Although there has been a few occasions this season where we've seen a lot of younger players miss lots of a season because of injuries, like Elise, for instance, who we've been looking at Palace. And his season so far, he's been in and out constantly, and he's still young. So, well, we understand the age side of things, and I want to get your comments on this as well, guys. Under 25, is that good? I do think we still need the experience, and we are selling a lot of our experienced players this summer as well. So the likes of Johnny Evans and Varane both leaving on a free. Martial really couldn't give 2 Fs about, but it's another one you could say is experience there. If Maguire and Lindelof go, 2 more experienced players there, or either one of them go, we're missing a little bit more. Casemiro, he's going. Christian Eriksen, he'll probably end up going. You're looking at a very, very young team there. And I understand where they want to go and where they want to build, and build into these younger players that have got none of the, say, bad habits of a more experienced player. Build into them what they want to develop, i.e. the style of play that they want them to play, which we're going to come on to in a minute. But you have to look at it and go, well, are these players good enough? And this comes down to this recruitment, and this is why I think they start at the age of 25 and then the rules come down, and it becomes clearer the sort of the message that they're trying to get across and what they want Manchester United to be and what they want Manchester United to play like. But I still feel like 27 is a decent cut-off age, and 25 I think is just a little bit too young. I do get it, I do understand it, but I think you cannot get away from needing experience in a side, and it does help. Obviously, it's got to be the right experienced player. You could get some prima donnas coming in, which we've seen before at Manchester United. Been there, done it. This is how it should be done. It's my way, and we've seen the issues that's caused Manchester United as well. But I do think we do need a little bit more experience. So 25 is probably a bit too young for me in terms of what that cut-off is. I think 27 is probably a fair age. Annoyingly bronzed. Oh, do I look all right? Thanks, tan check. 1 day in of sun, already looking like I've caught the sun. I'm just reading through the chat. I didn't just randomly pick that up to big myself up or anything. Rules better call than principles, says Mark. Plus the wages are generally less for the under 25 player. I'm concerned that penny pinching at the start of the Sir Jim Radcliffe project doesn't bode well. It's a good point, I'll talk about that in a minute. Another one from Raymond says, I have a problem with the age structure. If you're good enough, you're old enough. Didn't they pull these stunts with Nice, Adam? Question mark. I am quite concerned with Ineos. Quite a few concerned comments coming in actually in the chat this morning. Mail Red, I think the age thing is more aimed at the no long buying players who offer no longevity to the squad, no more short-term players like Evans, Casemiro, Eriksen, so on and so forth. The best teams have a balance of young and experienced players from Jake, that's true. The one that Gary picked up on there, the wages. The wages usually are cheap, unless you're someone like Mbappe, obviously, and you're buying the absolute player. I do believe that wages does come down with younger players. I think you can negotiate. I mean, there's a report on Sky again this morning about Manchester United being interested in Branthwaite, and Branthwaite being top target for Manchester United. We need a centre-back, and that's going to be the first signing of the summer. So again, that's a player that fits into that category. It fits into the mould of under the age bracket. Obviously, wages are going to be down. If you're replacing someone like Varane with a Branthwaite, you can imagine the difference in wages and what we're going to save there. And again, another one of them Ineos minor gains that you could say. I think realistically, it is just a case of these players are not going to get big wages at Manchester United anymore, no matter who it is that's coming in. And to be honest, I don't think there is many big-time Charlies out there anymore that would be coming to any club getting big wages. I think the whole landscape of the Premier League and the way that football is going to be is changing. And I think there is, with PSR, there is more of a look on trying to cap wages. Not so much fully cap them down, but definitely get into a better structure with them anyway. Most players don't peak until they are 28. It's like you're buying potential, is basically what they're saying. And that's key. The second one on the list, number 2, and that just rolls into what we said there, no Galacticos. What is a Galactico though? How do you determine what a Galactico is? Is that a Jude Bellingham? Is that a Haaland? Is that a Mbappe? All of these players Manchester United could have found and developed earlier. So it goes into what Sir Jim Radcliffe was saying. Sir Jim Radcliffe was saying when interviewed, he wants to find the next Mbappe instead of buying Mbappe. And whether these rules are genuine or not, or whether there's the story brought up by what is quite obvious and what's needed in football at the highest level right now, you still look at it and go, Manchester United have had their... We've been stung, haven't we, by Galacticos coming to Manchester United before. The likes of Falcao, the likes of Di Maria, obviously Paul Pogba, these types of players that Manchester United have constantly been buying over the last 10 years under the Woodward reign, under the Arnold and Murtough reign. It's not going to happen anymore for United. This is where Ineos are going with it. And I think that one, out of all of the rules, I think we can definitely say is going to be 100% in place and is never going to happen. Like Sir Alex Ferguson always used to say, didn't it? It's like the quality player and the right player is available, United are always in for him. They should always be in for him. Well, the right quality of player, they're always out there. I mean, you look at this like, what is a Galactico? Like, we didn't buy Bellingham when he was younger. We could have added a Galactico type of player in Bellingham, but we didn't manage to get the deal over the line. Solskjaer had Haaland lined up. We couldn't get him over the line. United didn't listen to Solskjaer. So we have had opportunities to bring players in. Managers that have been here over the last 10 years have seen players and wanted players at Manchester United, but the old regime, which is now changing obviously, didn't want to believe in that manager. They had their own plan in their heads. It was all commercialisation with players and everything like that. So looking at it, you would say now with the new structure, if that right player was there, Manchester United would be in a better position to go and get him. And I think that's important in these so-called 5 rules that are coming in. That Galacticos, don't think any of us are bothered. Like, we really don't care if we're going out and buying the best. We just need to buy the right players for Manchester United. I think that's what's important with this new structure going forward. And I think with Ineos, I think we are going to get close to that. I still can't understand what's going on with the concern of a lot of fans and everyone getting a little bit put off by how Ineos are operating and what they're doing. This was always going to happen. Well, the season's going on and football's being played and work's going on behind the scenes and you can't see it, you're not worrying about it, it's out of sight, out of mind. But now everyone is focusing on what happens off the pitch because the season's over. I think the scrutiny on Ineos is going to become harder. It's going to be a lot more. I'm not going to say there's a lot more anger within the fan base, but they want answers. The fan base is going to want answers from Ineos. So I feel like that is where it's going to start ramping up a little bit, and the pressure is going to be on. So scrutiny at its highest, I would say. Rule number 3. This is where it gets interesting. Style of play will be set by technical director Jason Wilcox. I don't fully believe that one. I don't believe that is going to be the case. I think that Jason Wilcox will have a say, will have be part of the panel that discuss how Manchester United want to play. Like Sir Jim Ratcliffe has said this before. He said, look, we will discuss how we want to play amongst the new structure, the new regime. We will discuss what style of football we want to play. He hinted too that free-flowing, fast football. And that's been a million miles away from Manchester United for a couple of seasons now, at least, if even more seasons past. I mean, the best we had was probably under Solskjaer at one point, where everything looked great coming out of lockdown. We were playing great football, scoring a lot of goals. We had Rashford, Martial, Mason Greenwood all hitting their straps. Then you had Sancho coming in after that. It just looked like we were moving in the right direction, and it's hard to figure out how Manchester United go wrong from that front line, having them 3 players playing at the top, to bringing in a Sancho, a Varane and a Ronaldo, and it all completely going wrong. Does that fall into the Galactico category again, with too many of them coming in and disrupting what we had? Maybe the model that Solskjaer had with the likes of Martial, Rashford and Greenwood up front is where we should have stayed. If Sancho would have just come in and Ronaldo didn't, would we have been sticking to that sort of model and it was staying along them lines? You just don't know, do you? You just don't know, and it's going to be difficult for him to get this change in place and then hit the ground running. I think this is a long-term project, and I think everything that Ineos are saying right now is just leading into that line of what Sir Jim said. The fan base is going to have to be more patient. We're going to need a little bit of time to sort this out. It doesn't happen overnight. But then he came back and said the fans would get impatient if it went past 3 years. So can under 25-year-olds develop fully within 3 years? I think there's a perfect, not perfect, but I think it's the right amount of time. I do think we are going to get the right amount of progress out of them, and you will see in that 3-year period whether or not they're players or not. The question is, like, buying them players at that age and then hoping they develop quick enough to have got United back to the top like Ineos want within 3 years, that's a different ball game altogether. So, yeah, I mean, it's... Whereas I understand them 3 first ones, definitely no Galacticos. I'm sort of on board with the under 25. The style of football obviously comes in with who is actually being brought into the football club and the full structure. Like, these 5 rules that have been brought up and talked about now, and what we're talking about now, all come into a football structure. If you stick to them, will they be what succeeds going forward? Ineos have to get right behind it. Leaf says Erik ten Hag signature debuted Anana, Bayinde, Martinez, Malacia, Evans, Amrabat, Mount, Ericsson, Casemiro, Højlund, Anthony, Garnacho, Mainu, Camberwell, Forsen, Why the hell are Ineos involved in football anyway? They are a chemical company who has already failed at Nice. Get lost. I don't think they've failed at Nice. I mean, they're in for the long haul. I mean, the first football clubs that they've had, they haven't done fantastically with, but you have to say, what have they learnt from them, and now bringing that to Manchester United. Please give the video a like, guys, as well. We're creeping up to that 100 mark already. Thank you very much for everyone joining us. It's early for me here in the Dominican. It's just before lunchtime for people in the UK there. I'm not sure where everyone else is watching from, but let us know in the chat as well and get your comments in. Mourinho signatures debuted, Lindelof, Dalot, McTominay. Where we're going with that one. You always get rid of rats at United have 6'1" who owns only 25%. Not sure what that means there, Christopher. Maybe rewrite that one out. Keep your comments coming in, guys. We're moving on to number 4 on the list. Number 4, I think this is where I start to agree completely with the structure. Personally, I think this is how United should be. And number 4 is manager to be asked what position he wants to sign, not what player. So basically, Ineos in complete charge of the player and profile player that comes in, and the manager has no say in a particular player that he wants to go and get. He'll tell Ineos, Wilcox, Barada, Dan Ashworth, I need a centre-back. Ineos know the style of football they want to play. They will then go out and find that player, or what is said will be, and that's on the next one, which is 3 players for each position that the manager wants, and that's rule number 5. So that pretty much 4 and 5 coming together. Manager to be asked a position he wants to sign, not what player, and Ineos to send a list of 3 signings per position for the manager to choose from. So, pretty much like a normal football club are being run right now. Cheers for the 100 likes, by the way, guys. Keep them coming in. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button as well. So, you need a centre-back. Ineos will go out and give you 3 options and break it down for the manager to then choose from alongside Ineos and say, I think. I don't think necessarily that Ineos will say that, look, there's 3. Whoever you choose, we're going to go with. I think Ineos will still want to say on which one of them 3 that they pick as well, which I think will be even more interesting when it comes to it. Super chat in from Mark. If we aren't buying over 25, you can say bye to Champions League. We have no experience now, so where are they getting it from for the young players to learn from? Buy to the Champions League, Mark says, if we don't buy more experienced players. 25, I said it, I think 27 is probably more realistic for me, because you've got that bit of experience there as well. And yes, you're taking a gamble on You're taking a gamble on that player, then not having no sell on. You're buying a player for a specific reason. Like, these are the players, I think, if you're going to buy a 27-year-old, it's going to have to be a player that's coming to the end of his contract that you can get on a pretty decent deal. You're not going to be spending upwards of 40 million on a 27-year-old, I don't think, with Ineos. I think that's what we can expect. I just don't see it, because I think the under 25 thing is definitely giving them room for sell on. And I mean, that's a big part of it, I feel. But interested with the 3 centre-backs. So Ten Hag wants a centre-back. Todibo, Branthwaite, Scalvini, for instance, there you go. All pretty much similar price tags. How much each will cost will be down to Ineos and their recruitment as well. So it doesn't necessarily come down to what the manager wants and Ineos go out and find the 3 best centre-backs. Within finding them 3 centre-backs, Ineos will look at the prices of them centre-backs and break them down. So you could say you want a Scalvini, but he's 60 mil plus, so we're not going to look at him. We can't have a Branthwaite because Everton wants 70 million. So it's going to be like a Todibo. It's going to be a Adebayo from Fulham. These types of players. Ineos will have a top market in terms of price, so they'll have a top price tag, and no one will go above that, I don't think, out of them 3. So then it's up to like the manager, if it's Ten Hag or a new manager in, to discuss probably with Ineos what they want from the 3, Ineos, I don't know if they're going to be too fussed if it is the more expensive player out of the three. That's down to them. When they put them players on the table, they can't complain about which one the manager wants or where we want to go with it. So they've got a lot of work to do to make sure that they're happy with the three players that they've broken down and given to the manager. So it's going to be interesting how this works. It's going to take a bit of time of getting used to. And you can imagine the media around Manchester United. Normally it's about one player. Now everyone's going to be on the case for like the three players that Manchester United are looking for. The three that Ineos have picked out for the new manager. Get your comments coming in, guys. Let's get into what you think about that system as well. Quantum Fighter, what's the most likely to happen? Scalvini plus Todibo, Scalvini plus Branthwaite, or Todibo plus Branthwaite? In my opinion, I think Todibo, Branthwaite. I like Scalvini, but I think he'll be too much. He's playing Champions League football now, so Atalanta can drive a hard bargain. But then again, United have got a good rapport with Atalanta. We've had two players off them already that have done reasonably well in Højlund and Ahmad. So it's going to be really interesting to see what relationships the United rekindle sort of in the transfer market and go back to, because there is a way. There is a way. I think a lot of clubs do have good relationships with others. And they do keep going back to them, especially when a decent player comes around. But Atalanta are in a decent position now to negotiate, I would say, for any player that they've got with them getting into the Champions League. So I don't think it's going to be easy for United. And like I said, that new relationship that United had with Atalanta, well, that was with the old regime as well. So is it going to be the same with Ineos in charge and their hard negotiating, which we're expecting to happen? It's a 3-year project, so yes, to bringing more academy players up, you only need a sprinkle of experienced players. How many experienced players do you need in your starting lineup, guys? Get into the comments on that one. What is important? How many do we need? I am generally for that Man United keep legal contracts with academy players, but loan them out for 2 to 3 years to grow in experience and capabilities and come back as a more matured player. It's if that club that they've loaned them out to, if it works with them, Mike, I would say, because they might not want a 3-year loan, they want 1 year. Loans don't really, at the same club anyway, don't go on more than a year. And you'll see players going from club to club more likely. 2 experienced players, 5, 6 says Jake, 2 to 3. I think 4's the right amount personally. I would say at least a quarter of the team needs to be vastly experienced. Definitely. United planning will be refreshing to see no scattergun approach, says Stephanie. It will be good actually having a proper structure in place. It will be refreshing, like Stephanie says there as well. I think that's important in this. I wanted to talk about the other news as well that's going across the bottom of your screen, guys, which was regarding the issues with injuries. And this is something that I think Ten Hag needs to answer to as well. It's like this whole review, and I think part of it will be not just the results that's happening on the pitch, but the review of what's going on with the season will be, why was there so many injuries? Manchester United playing less games than last season, but getting more and more injuries. So why? Why are we getting these injuries? Only Ten Hag can answer that question, and his medical team and the fitness team, which apparently he doesn't have. So Jason Wilcox is concerned about the amount of game time that the younger players are getting. The younger players do need to be looked after, and we cannot overcook the younger players at this early stage, I don't think. If the likes of Garnacho and Mainu are constantly playing and not getting the breaks that they need and recovery time that they need, it's going to be detriment to their longer career. So I feel like, whereas yes, it's good to see these young academy players coming through and getting loads of game time, still you want to see a decent balance with this. And I'm all for the worry with the younger players continuously coming through and playing game after game after game. We do need to rotate more. It's only now at the end of the season that Ten Hag has started to take Højlund out of the side. He started to bring like Garnacho off against Bournemouth, which everyone kicked off about. Yeah, they have been our best performing players and they've been the brightest spark within our season, but we want these players to be playing season after season after season. So reality is we need these players to actually be looked after better. And we do need to figure out why we keep on getting so many bleeding injuries. It is a continuous thing. Like, this season has been an absolute joke with the injury side of things. So I'm not surprised that we've got the likes of Jason Wilcox and the concern there with the injury situation. So yeah, let's look at it that way and say that's another good thing. I think looking into the Carrington side of things is a big part of the investigation, I would say. I think you need to have a big deep dive into what is going on there, like the unrest, the leaks, the injuries with the players, the facilities. There's a lot to do off the pitch. We know the issues we've got on the pitch, players not good enough, underperforming players, everything like that, tactics with Ten Hag, but I think Ineos do need to get a grip of what's going on at Carrington as well, because that has definitely fallen away. And again, the reason why I just think it's just a little bit, I don't know, 3 years just doesn't seem like it's long enough. It doesn't, there's just too much to do. Let's get into the chat and see what you guys are saying. Man City have 2 teams to pick from, so it doesn't really hurt them. Then again, you've got to look at the management of that and how they manage to keep everybody happy at the football club. Is Ten Hag good enough to keep every squad member happy? It doesn't look like he's been able to manage that. And I think he's played the same players constantly, and then we've got more injuries. So Ten Hag does have to take part of the blame when it comes to the injury side of things, I feel, as well. It must be the modern training techniques. Bristol City, we've had injury after injury again. Predominantly defenders. Interesting. Lower leagues as well. Jason says there are still discussions, a solution of if we are going to drop into the Conference League, as in, are you talking about the deadline for Monday with the Europa? And that would be an absolute disaster if that happens, but I cannot see it. I cannot see United dropping out. I cannot see Europa, like I said yesterday, pushing UEFA, pushing Manchester United out of one of their second-rate competitions, you could say, behind the Champions League. I think Manchester United make the Europa League bigger than what it is, so I cannot see UEFA pushing them away from it. If they want to really flex their muscle and kick United out, of course they can. The rules are there. You can't have 2 teams in the same competition in Europe that are owned by the same people. And obviously Sir Jim Ratcliffe does have a piece of Manchester United and owns all of Nice. So it is a situation. Brentford and Frank, with their low budget, used by a larger club, rejects and injured players. But they have had great success with getting them fixed and performing. Man United, the opposite under Erik Ten Hag. There is a bit of luck with injuries. It's unfortunate that we have had so many, but you've got to ask the question why they keep asking on the training ground. That's what you've got to ask. Adam, how was the cassava and grilled chicken? Martino. I don't know what he means by that, actually. I don't even know if I've had that yet. I've had a few drinks though, so that's been good. Reasons for sacking Ten Hag. He has stated that United was in a mess when he took over. 2 years on, finished 8th place after Solskjaer 7th and Ranić 6th. You cannot, 8th in the league is the thing that's always going to hurt Ten Hag for this season. No matter what he says in the trophy, you still finished 8th in the league, and it is an argument against it. So yeah, I do think that as much as trophies are the be-all and end-all and important, there is the financial aspect, and Manchester United competing for the best trophies that comes into it as well. I think that will be going through this review. I'm pretty certain it will be. Ineos are coming, the United fan base, coming for the United fan base, Glazer Part 2, it says Scott. Adam, back to the cup final, do you think the players were playing for Ten Hag that day or just trying to impress a new incoming manager? No, I think they were playing for Ten Hag, I do. I think he went out of his way and beyond. You've read them rumours regarding what was done before the cup final, like each player having their personal messages from the loved ones, then another message in the dressing room that was put up on the screen from loved ones before everyone went out to warm up before the game. He made a big deal out of that final and just did absolutely everything to get them players up for that game. It's such an effort for one game. It is concerning that they cannot be up for the day-to-day job, which is just playing in the Premier League. That's the concerning thing, I feel, out of all of it. It's like everything that they did just to get a performance out of these players. And then they come back down again, and it's easy to get up for the last game of the season because you know you don't have to do it again the week after, is all I'm saying with that one. But I can't take anything away from the performance still. We were the better team, I thought, and we deserved to win the cup. So it's just like, where was that performance all season? You can sack Ten Hag and complain at the new boss. There are options, just because if he goes, it doesn't mean we should get Southgate. Bloody hell. I think that's a debate going on within the chat there. I told you, I banned the word Southgate from this chat. There's no more live. Andrew Shorts, if Ancelotti or anyone big was available, then I might incline to agree on firing Erik Ten Hag, but there are none. Tuchel must play. I'm going to keep saying Tuchel. He is better than Ten Hag. Adam, the gym doesn't own United, so we shouldn't have a problem being in the Europa League. Henry, I know what you're saying, but you know what people are like. Like, he is part owner of Manchester United. You can't take that away. I do think that he will use that, though, as not full ownership, and use that to his advantage in negotiating to make sure that they do actually... What was the word I was going to use then? Sorry, I forgot. They do get past this issue that they've got with the Europa League. I think we'll be in the Europa League. I'm not really concerned about it that much. It may seem a bit arrogant and thinking that we are just going to get away with it, but I do think that we are going to be safe. Like I said before, I can't see UEFA kicking United out. How much new signings can we expect from Ineos this season? I reckon 4 to 5, I think, is what we're going to be getting. I think that's probably as many as we can, going through that structure that we just talked about. Just to go through everything right at the end, we started this show in terms of how many players we can expect. There is the 5 new rules that we went through at the start of the show, if you're just joining us now. Age limit of Manchester United signings to be 25 and under. No Galacticos. Style of play to be set by technical director Jason Wilcox. Manager to be asked what position he wants to sign, not what player. And 5, Ineos to send a list of 3 signings per position for the manager to choose from. That all being put in place. We don't know if that's a definite or not, but it's interesting to see, because I think that would be a good way for United to go forward. I do think that we should be looking at that as our structure. I think it works well. It definitely covers all issues that we've had in previous summers. It covers all of the ineptitude that we've seen in transfer windows from Manchester United in the old regime. I think just looking at it, like I've said it before, it is just the way that other teams work. And Manchester United are just a million miles behind everybody else. That's all it is. Please give the video a like. We've just gone past the 150 mark. Thank you. Julio wants Ten Hag out quite clearly in the chat. New signings go straight into the first team. Manchester United need to be buying players that go into the first team. I don't want no players coming in right now that are just going to be like the prospect type of player. We need to have players that come straight in. We're losing Varane, we're losing Casemiro, the likes of Eriksen, Johnny Evans. We're losing a lot of first team players that have contributed a lot this season. We need to be buying players that go straight into the team. The squad isn't good enough or deep enough for players to just come through and sit there while others replace them players that I've just named that we've already got in the squad, if you know what I mean by that. It has to be players that are coming straight into Manchester United's squad right now. That's the only way that Manchester United can get off the ground and kickstart this new regime with Ineos, because we need to get back up into the Champions League. And players that have got potential that are not going to play all of the season are not good enough. We need more. We need players that are going to come in and kickstart straight away. Jeff says, with regards to Ten Hag, Ineos don't want a Glazer/Myrtle man in charge. They want their own manager so they can take the credit in the future for their any success. I fully expect Ineos to want their own man in place. I don't feel like we're going to get... I don't think we're going to get anyone in conversation about Ten Hag and him being the right man simply because we've won an FA Cup final. Trophies are going to have a big say in the debate and the review, but I think Ineos have to look at this and will be looking at this as what we've just talked about there, how they want to move forward, not what has just been won. I think that's what's important in this, and I think that's how Ineos will approach it. It will be a case of, look, we want to play this way, we want to structure this way, we want to do the transfer windows this way and everything else at the football club this way. So this is the right man for us. It does worry you, right, with the names like Southgate coming out, because you don't want the manager to be the Ineos puppet type of character, do you? You don't want the Potters and the Southgates. I don't think De Zerbi will be. I think he's got a bit more character. Out of them three, De Zerbi probably is the only one I would even consider, but I don't even want De Zerbi ahead of Ten Hag. So, Potter, no. Southgate, no. But them managers would definitely come into the category of what Ineos would find easier to work with, because they will do exactly what they're told. Go out there and coach. I think the problem we've got right now with Manchester United is it's like we're looking for the right type of manager to handle the football team. But realistically, Ineos are probably looking for the right coach to coach the United team. That's what's interesting in this. And like, do they think that Southgate's a good coach? Do they think that Potter's a good coach? I think Potter's an alright coach. We're looking at a head coach rather than a manager situation with Ineos. Whereas the names coming out and who is better than who and who has done more and who has handled more off the pitch, this means absolutely nothing to Ineos right now. So what Ten Hag has done to the culture, what he's done with the youth team, everything that he's done in handling big ego players, it counts for absolutely nothing for Ineos. It counts for nothing because they want to take charge of all that stuff, and all they want is a man on that training ground that's going to coach these players that they're getting from their structure and recruitment side of things to play the way that they want. It doesn't matter about managing below and above themselves, and everything that Ten Hag has done, which has been great, and to be honest, he's done a lot and he's had to deal with a lot, but he doesn't have to deal with that anymore. Is he the right man, style of football-wise, is all we need to be discussing. Has Ten Hag got enough on the pitch? Has he proved enough on the pitch to say to Ineos that I am the right man to play this way for you? That's what it will all be. That's what the debate will be about, I feel, more than anything else. And you know what? A lot of people would go with De Zerbi over Ten Hag for that, because he has got a style of play and he does get something out of his players. Even if certain players are injured, you can still see that philosophy and what he wants to do on the pitch and how he controls games. And he does use a lot of younger players as well. So, again, you look at them rules that are coming in, or supposedly coming in, the 5 rules, like the under 25 player works better for the likes of De Zerbi and these type of managers and the coaches. The more and more talk that comes out regarding what Ineos want and what they want to bring into Manchester United via their structure works in line with a coach rather than a manager. Just get that style of play on the pitch. That's all we want, and we will deal with absolutely everything else. Everything else. Pep Guardiola has to do nothing except deal with what happens on the training ground and these players. And he discusses everything else with the hierarchy and everything else that goes on regarding contracts, whether he thinks this player is going to be worth selling. So, for instance, if a player hasn't been making it well into the team or into the matchday squads a few weeks in a row, discussion will happen probably with the likes of Barada, and they will say, look, are you going to be using this player more? Should we look now to be selling them on? This is what a structure does at a football club. A structure isn't just to bring players in. It's like, what do you think of this academy player? Should we send him on loan here because they play this type of football there and that manager has a good system going there? Does it suit him better there? Do we need to harden this player up and send him to a harder league where it's a bit more robust, a bit more straightforward, fast-flowing football and direct? This is what structures do. They also add in buy-on clauses to loanee players and stuff like that United have not been doing. Coach the team and get the best out of the team on the pitch. That's all Ineos want from a manager or coach, whatever you want to say. Just play, agreed. It sounds odd they're not coming out to support him. It sounds more bad for him than good. In terms of where we're at with the manager, like I said yesterday, we don't want to talk about it too much. There's nothing to report at all when it comes to it. I think the Times were talking about the same old targets again, manager-wise, if Ten Hag is sacked. Nothing's changed on that side of things. I think it is just a case of what Ineos want to do. The longer it goes on, I said yesterday, the more I think it will be Ten Hag. I'm still fighting with myself in my own head, like, why have Ineos not come out and backed him? They must be looking into it. The only way I can see it from what's happened is when you look at it in detail, I think they had the mind made up. The FA Cup win and the outcry from the fan base, certain parts of the fan base have come in after winning the FA Cup, and the jubilation of finishing the season on the high that we did. I just made them think a little bit. Is Ten Hag willing to drop down to everything that I just said? Forget what you did with the youth team. Forget what you did with the players. Forget what you did in building a culture and all of that. All that we want you to do is coach this team and get the maximum amount of them on the pitch. That is it. Can he fall in line with that? Or is it easier for Ineos to just bring in their own man? I think the longer it goes on, the less outcry after the final there will be if Ten Hag is sacked. That's how I see it anyway. But guys, yep, that is it for the show. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Early one for me. We're going to go off and get some breakfast now and settle into another day, hopefully in the sun. Quite bad actually, to be honest. A little bit tender on the old shoulders, and it's going to be I'm going to have to be careful. The Factor 30 might have to go on today just to protect me in the sun. But yeah, we're going to have a few more drinks. We'll see what news is about later on, and we'll catch up with you guys then. But for now, have a great rest of your day, everyone, and I will see you all later on this evening for you, afternoon for me, possibly. Hopefully there's enough news to even talk about anything, but we'll see. But until then, see you later, everyone. Have a great day. Like, share and subscribe. Thank you for the super chats, all of your involvement in the show again, as always. Have a good one, people. See you in a